Thank you for joining me live from the grooming table. I am Amy Lee, certified professional pet groomer since 2003, but it is absolutely my pleasure to share with you the secrets of the pet grooming industry so you can provide the same level of quality care for your beloved pets at home as I provide right here to my beloved pets that I groom in my grooming salon. I want to remind you guys that one of my goals right here on my YouTube channel is to bring a new voice to the pet grooming industry, and that is one that includes pet owners as valuable consumers and not just pet groomers. I already feel like I'm talking too much. I got to take a breath. I feel a little wiped out today. So, guys, with so many people grooming their own dogs at home and finding great enjoyment in it, it is very important that we have a safe place to share those secrets of the pet grooming industry so they can provide that level of care to their beloved pets at home just like professionals. Tonight, our topic is 3 dog coat types and proper care requirements. So your dog falls into one of these 3 coat types, my friends, so pay close attention to this. God, I'm shaky tonight. I think I didn't eat as much as I should have. Holy moly. Okay, so did you know that there are really only 3 dog coat types, guys? There is the short coat, there's the medium coat, and there's the long coat. So I want to show you an image here of a short-coated breed. This is a dog that has short hair. This is a pug. We love pugs, so this is an example of a short-haired dog breed. Other examples of short-haired dog breeds would be a Great Dane, or a Bulldog, or a Weimaraner, or a Boxer, Basenjis, and there are so many more. So you guys can all identify with what I'm talking about. Short-haired dogs require weekly brushing and bathing every 21 days, guys, to maintain their optimal skin and coat health. That sounds excessive, I know it does, but why 21 days? Why do short-haired dogs require weekly brushing and bathing every 21 days to maintain optimal skin and health for their coat and skin? It's important to understand a few things about the skin, guys. So let me show you an image of the skin while we discuss this. Let me see here. Dog skin right there. Okay. So back to my notes. The skin goes through a process called keratization, guys, every 21 days. So that is why you hear me say it is important to bathe all of our dogs, no matter what coat type they have, every month, because that is approximately every 21 days. But the keratization of the skin, this process occurs every 21 days, and that includes all dog breeds, my friends. Every single dog breed, their skin goes through a keratization process. Keratization is the process when the epidermal skin cells become dry, rigid, as they rise up towards the skin surface, and eventually they will slough off as dead skin cells. This process is a 21-day cycle for all dogs, my friends. The skin's shedding and renewal cycle is a 21-day cycle. Another important factor to understand about your dog's skin is that the role that sebum plays in the health of your dog's skin. So we're going to talk about sebum. Sebum is produced by the sebaceous gland, and it protects, it feeds, and it nourishes your dog's skin and hair. Sebum is very important. Sebum is an oily, waxy substance that's excreted from the sebaceous glands, and it has many, many functions. It acts as a barrier to protect the nerve endings at the skin's surface. That's very important. Now we're talking about sebum, guys. Sebum is your dog's natural defense mechanism that offers antibacterial, antifungal protection, and even sun protection for your dog's skin and coat. It's like natural sunblock, the sebum is. So now that we know what sebum is, and we know it is vital to the health of every dog's skin and coat. Let's discuss how to regulate it and maintain the balance of sebum instead of remove it, stripping your dog's protection. Okay? So we're talking about the 3 different coat types, and every dog falls into one of the 3 coat types: short, medium, and long coats. So back to our short-haired breed. Let's get talking. Let's talk about the short-haired dog. Okay, this coat type has a 1:6 primary to secondary hair ratio. What that means is each hair follicle shares 1 to 6 hairs. Typically, some of those hairs are primary and some of them are secondary. When we're talking about short-coated dogs like the pug and like the Weimaraner and the boxer, their hair follicle really consists of mainly primary hairs, not as many secondary hairs. So that's important to know. I'll take another sip of water. So, like I said, some of these hairs are primary, some of them are secondary, but it is a 1:6 ratio of hairs per follicle in our short coats. So that's very important. I want you guys to remember that. Short coat types are the #1 coat type seen at vet offices for skin issues. Can you believe that? Now take a look at this pug. Why? It's a short coat. It doesn't, what does it even require? It's probably the easiest coat to maintain, right? That's what people think. But care for this coat type is often overlooked and neglected due to people misunderstanding the needs of the short-haired dog's coat. It's very misunderstood. Short-haired dogs need regular brushing to stimulate blood flow to the skin. Brushing also aids in sloughing off the dead and dying skin cells, keeping the skin balanced, like we just talked about earlier, guys, the keratization process. Brushing stimulates the blood flow to the skin, and it also sloughs off those dead cells that just accumulate on top of the skin surface, and they can start to clog the pores of the dog. But one important thing brushing your short-haired dog offers is distributing the sebum throughout the skin and coat evenly. That is where brushing is very important for your short-haired coats, to distribute the sebum evenly throughout the skin and coat. Very important. So there are many tools and products used on this coat type, and we're going to discuss some of the ways to care for this coat type right now. A boar bristle brush is definitely a good choice for the short-haired breeds because it actually helps to spread that sebum. It sort of polishes the hair follicles and the hair because it definitely encourages, the boar bristle brush definitely encourages the release of sebum and the spread of sebum throughout the coat, which balances out the skin and coat. So that is one of the top choice brushes that any professional will tell you to use on a short-coated dog. Another thing is a bathing curry, and bathing curries, they're those little rubber, I don't have one in here close enough. There's those little rubber, they look like they have little fingers, little massagers. Well, they actually really stimulate blood flow to the skin, you know. They also help slough off those dead skin cells. They also help remove the dead hair, you know, because we know that the hair follicle has 1 to 6 hairs in each follicle, right? We're talking about the short-haired coats. So it's very important to use tools that aren't going to be aggressive on your coat type, but they're also going to be effective. And some of the favorites are the boar bristle brush for short coats, as well as the bathing curries. You might also know them as Zoom Grooms, the little rubber curries. Very nice. So some other things that I want to talk to you about when it comes to taking care of our short hair breeds is that it's important that we use gentle shampoos and conditioners that will not attack the sebum. Instead, they will preserve it. That's very important. Gentle shampoos and conditioners that will not attack the sebum It will remove some of it. Some of that sebum can get old and stinky, you know, especially on our wrinkly breeds. You smell that smell. That's sebum buildup. So it's important to clean them. But we don't want to strip it all off. And we also got to be very, very, very certain that we condition those short hair breeds after we shampoo them with our gentle shampoo, because the conditioning is going to put it back. Shampoo strips the sebum from the coat and conditioner puts it back, leaving the skin and coat balanced and protected again. It's very important. Another thing that's wonderful on this coat type is to use our bathing loofahs. This shines really well on our short-coated dogs. Our bathing loofahs, while shampooing your short-haired dog, will exfoliate and stimulate blood flow. There's no doubt about that. Weekly brushing and bathing every 21 days will keep your short-haired dog healthy and feeling great. And you really should try that, guys. If you have a short-haired breed, see if it makes a difference in your dog's overall health and the demeanor of your dog, actually. When their skin and coat is feeling good and it's healthy, you'll notice that in your dog's behavior. You'll notice that they feel good and they're very content. So bathing every 21 days, let's just round it up to once a month. Can you bathe your short-haired dogs more often than that? Absolutely. Every 3 weeks would probably be more ideal, I would say. So that's what I would recommend, every 3 weeks for your short-haired dog. But if you want to just put a reminder in your calendar every month, you definitely would be wise to do so. And that's a great way to keep your dogs from having allergy problems. And short-coated dogs, I mentioned this earlier, they are like the #1 coat type that vets treat in the office for allergies. But allergies wrap up such a large area and it's kind of vague. You know, some of those allergies just could be too much dander and sebum and buildup in the coat, you know, because it's not brushed and cleaned long enough, and it can turn into an irritation, which will often be diagnosed as an allergy. So the bathing and the brushing with the boar bristle brush is ideal, absolutely, for our short coats. So now we're going to move on to our medium coated dogs. Remember, there's 3: short, medium, and long. So I'm going to throw an image up here of a medium coated dog. This is a Bernese Mountain Dog. I think we can all relate to that. We know what that is, right? So this coat type is a little different than our short coat, okay? Remember, the short coat had a 1:6 primary to secondary hair ratio. The short coat was also made up mostly of primary hairs. Now this coat type is a 1:12 primary to secondary hair ratio. So that means that each hair follicle shares 1 to 12 hairs, which are, some of them are primary hairs, some of them are secondary hairs, a lot of which will be the secondary hairs, also known as our undercoat. So on this coat type, the medium dog coat type, this is a 1:12 ratio. So they have a lot of hair, guys. They do. I want to show you a picture of this is an example of the primary hairs to the secondary hairs. And a great example is on our double coated breeds or our medium coated breeds. So the medium coat type accounts for 80% of all dog breeds, guys. That's a lot. 80% of all dogs fall into this category, which means your dog could be a medium coat as well, correct? So the lighter color hairs that you're seeing here, they're the secondary hairs. So they are considered the undercoat. The darker colored hairs are considered the primary hairs. So they are the top coat. Some examples of a medium coated dog is a golden retriever, a German shepherd, a lab, a Shetland sheepdog, Australian shepherd, border collies, Bernese mountain dogs, Newfies, and hey, surprisingly, a lot of terriers. Schnauzers. Schnauzer is a medium coated dog. So let's get back to taking a look at our medium coat while we continue to discuss it. Okay, So I just threw you a shocker. Schnauzer's a medium coated dog? Yes. It's important to know that this special coat type, the medium coat, sometimes referred to as a double coat, sometimes it has more secondary hairs than our short coat, than the first coat type we were talking about. It also has more secondary hairs than the long coat, which we didn't get to that yet. We'll get there in a minute. So this coat type has more secondary hairs than any coat type, the short, medium, or large. However, also note that the secondary hairs, the undercoat, are shorter than the primary hairs. That's important. The secondary hairs on our medium coated dogs are shorter than the primary hairs. And this is a 1:12 ratio. Primary hairs or top coat should always, always, always extend past the secondary hairs or the undercoat. That's important, guys. Let's think about that one more time. The primary hairs or the top coat should always be longer. They should extend past the undercoat. And that is important. Dogs with this type of coat often have a long dormant stage of hair growth. This is another thing you may not have known. This coat type, many breeds in this coat type have a dormant stage of hair growth, which means that there's a period of time every year or more that the coat stops growing. It just goes dormant for a while. It doesn't do anything. A big reason why we never want to shave the medium coat, and you guys hear us, we talk about this all the time. If we shave it and the undercoat grows longer than the top coat, it will never recover, and chronic skin issues could often be the result, and often they are. So if we cut this coat, if we remove too much with our de-shedding methods, because we're using aggressive tools, we could really disturb the ratio of primary hairs to secondary hairs. We could also break off the primary hairs or our top coat, and they would then become shorter than our secondary hairs, which will encourage the exponential growth on those secondary hairs or our undercoat. So trimming the hair too short is also a problem. Now I want you to picture this, guys. Let's say on a Schnauzer, trimming the hair too short is a problem because it could lead to ingrown hairs, blocked hair follicles. It hinders the flow of sebum if this happened, you know, if we trim the coat too short. So in other words, I don't recommend trimming the pattern sets on our Schnauzers, our Westies, our Cocker Spaniels. I don't recommend trimming those pattern sets any shorter than a 7 blade in order to prevent this. In order to prevent the follicles from becoming clogged or blocked, we don't want to trim those pattern sets on our Cockers, on our Schnauzers, our Westies, or Yorkies, or whatever. We don't want to trim those pattern sets any shorter than a 7 blade, because then it could be too short. We could affect the hair follicle, which could impact the hair follicle. We've all heard of Schnauzer bumps, right? This is what causes it, is people using too short of a blade on their Schnauzers when they set the pattern. It irritates that follicle and it damages it, and it just gets all messed up. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So remember that, no shorter than a 7 blade to protect the hair follicles on our dogs that get a pattern set. Care for the medium coat type, that's pretty simple. We talk about this stuff all the time. Tools and products used on this coat type are as follows. We like our slicker brushes to remove the dead coat. We also like pen brushes. They can be used in caring for this coat, but not solely using a pen brush, because a pen brush just isn't, it's not aggressive enough to pull out the dead coat. And because this hair follicle on our medium coated dogs shares up to 12 hairs, that's a lot in one follicle, it's important that we remove dead hair out of those follicles, or we could have problems. All these things lead to skin problems. So we can use our pen brushes, but not solely. We still need our slicker brushes. Our metal grooming combs are ideal for this coat type. After we brush, we like to pick through the coat with our metal grooming combs and just release anything else that's still hanging in the coat. Also, it tells us if we've brushed good enough, if we can get down to the skin with our comb and pull the hair out, then we know we've done a good job with brushing. Also, using our metal combs in the tub when we're conditioning these dogs, these medium coated dogs or double coated dogs. Using conditioner and combing that through in the tub is a great way to slide out, just adds a little bit of slip to the dead coat that needs to come out. It needs to come out, and it wants to, but we only want to take out what's willing to come out. We're not going to force it. So our metal grooming combs are definitely a fantastic tool that we must have in our arsenal if we're maintaining a medium coat. Also, hydrating shampoos and conditioners are a must for this coat type. Hydrating, very important. Brushing several times a week, bathe, let's say again, every 21 days, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. Bathe this coat type to match the keratization cycle of the skin and coat. So in other words, the keratization cycle is 21 days, and that is the shedding of dead hair, the sloughing off of dead skin cells. That's the keratization cycle. We follow that in our bathing procedures with the medium coat type and with the short coat type. So we want to kind of wipe the slate clean, and keep it in check with the keratization cycle, which is a 21-day period on all dogs. So brushing is imperative to this coat type to move the sebum down the long hair shaft. These coat types can be quite long, and we need to disperse that semen, oh my God, the sebum throughout the whole coat, from the base of the skin all the way to the tips of the hair. We have to disperse that sebum throughout there because that is what keeps the hair from breaking. It keeps it strong. It also protects it. Don't forget, it protects it from the sun. Sebum is antibacterial, it's antifungal, so it's like it's armor for your dog's skin and coat. So caring about that sebum and not destroying it or completely stripping it out is really the focus here. On all three coat types, guys, the sebum is very important. So remember that this is a longer coat, and moving the sebum through the coat will keep the skin and coat balanced. So you have to work a little harder on a medium coat to maintain it, to keep that sebum distributing throughout the skin and coat evenly, brushing a couple times a week at least, and bathing every 3 to 4 weeks. Very important. But don't forget to use very well balanced products, never drying products on this coat, because it will just take all the sebum out. Which, have you ever noticed, say a Bernese Mountain Dog that has like a brownish or a gray glow to it? Its skin and its coat's not popping, it's not shining, it's not looking good. That's because the wrong products may have been used, and they may have stripped all that sebum out and certainly not conditioned to put it back in. So remember that. Balancing, very important. Balancing the skin and coat. So we definitely want to use hydrating products on our medium coats, guys. It's very, very important. Medium haired dogs require definitely bi-weekly brushing and bathing every 21 days, like I just said, to maintain optimal skin and coat health on our medium coats. Okay, so now let's talk about long-haired coats. All right, let me throw an image up here so you can get an idea of what a long-haired coat is. Oh my gosh, it's a beautiful Yorkie. Yes, they are beautiful. And this coat type, many dogs fall into this coat type, some that you may be surprised. So long-haired dogs include dog breeds such as poodles, and most of our doodles fall into long coat, the long-haired coat type. Yorkies, Maltese, Lhasas, bearded collies, and many more fall into this long-haired coat type. Like short-haired dogs, the long-haired dog coat type has a hair ratio of 1:6, meaning that each hair follicle shares 1:6 primary and secondary hairs. The secondary hairs are almost as long as the primary hairs. Okay, let me go back to this one image. Let's just talk about this. Now remember, this is our double-coated dogs, a lot of our medium-coated dogs. The primary hairs are definitely meant to stand out further than the secondary hairs, because those primary hairs protect the secondary hairs. The secondary hairs protect the skin, whether that's regulating temperature or keeping allergens away from the skin or whatever. So now, this is not quite the case on our long-haired breeds. On our long-haired breeds, the secondary hairs extend almost as far as the primary hairs. So that is different than the medium coat. Let's go back to looking at our beautiful little Yorkie hair. So yes, it's very important for you guys to understand that the secondary hairs of a long-coated dog are almost as long as the primary hairs. And this coat type has a continuous growth cycle, so it doesn't go dormant. And it also could just continue to grow. The hair keeps growing and growing until it breaks off or it's trimmed. If it's not maintained well, it will break. And I see this all the time in my shop from people using wrong brushes or wrong tools on their long-coated dog and breaking the coat. Because the longer the coat gets in this coat type, the more we're going to be brushing it, the more abuse it's going to take. So if we have a dog in full coat like this Yorkie, it's going, we have to be very vigilant as far as what tools and what methods and what products that we're going to use to maintain this coat. Or we could cause it to break off. So we got to be careful about that. Their hair, it just keeps going until it breaks off or it's trimmed. Because we must brush this coat type often, especially if the hair is allowed to grow out like this Yorkie, grooming methods and products are imperative to use and to know what you're using to prevent the hair from drying out or breaking. So brushing will definitely aid in distributing the sebum throughout the skin and coat, just like our other two coat types, which are our short and our medium. Brushing will definitely aid in distributing the sebum throughout the skin and coat, allowing this coat type to grow long. The sebum adds strength to this coat. So it allows us to have these long flowing hair coats that can often be so long as to reach the ground if we care for them properly. So speaking of care for the long-haired coat type, tools and products, they should be carefully selected, definitely. Pin brushes are certainly your friend for this long coat type. Pin brushes are used for caring for this coat most often. Slicker brushes are used as well. Just proceed with caution because some slicker brushes can be quite aggressive. However, on a poodle, on a doodle, I have my favorite slicker brushes. Those are my go-to on that coat type. So whereas a pen brush just wouldn't get me there, not at all on a poodle. So yes, we do still use slicker brushes on our long coats and pin brushes. Our metal grooming comb, once again, is very important in caring for this coat type. And because the secondary hairs of the long coat are almost as long as the primary hairs, lifting the hair with a comb before trimming it, it can be challenging, but it's important to use that comb to lift both the secondary and primary hairs before trimming, because you use your comb to accomplish a smooth scissor finish, right guys? Especially on dogs like poodles, porties, and Bijans. So lifting that coat with your comb is very important before trimming, because the secondary hairs may get kind of pushed down in there and you'll get a very uneven trim. So you want to Comb that, get that comb to lift that coat straight up and out. This is our scissor coats. A lot of them are scissor coats. So a couple more things about the long-haired coat type. Hydrating shampoo and conditioner that build collagen, protein. They're required to strengthen this coat type, okay? So hydrating shampoos and conditioners that build collagen. That's what you're looking for a long coat, because it's definitely going to strengthen it, and it's going to keep it from breaking. It's going to keep it healthy, and it's not going to strip all that good sebum that the hair needs in order to stay strong. The sebum needs to be covering that whole, however long the hair is. So distributing the sebum there again is very important through brushing and maintaining that sebum throughout the coat. That's what's going to keep these coats in good shape. So you must keep the hair strong. Very important for our long coats. We must strengthen the hair. It has to be hydrated and moisturized to prevent breakage. So those are the type of products that we will seek out. Brushing, again, will aid in distributing the sebum throughout the skin and coat, allowing this coat type to grow long, flowing, and even possibly reach the ground. Long-haired dogs require bi-weekly, if not more than that, if not daily, brushing. And bathing every 21 days, if not more frequently. Depends on the length of your dog's coat. So if you have a Yorkie like this in full coat, you definitely can do 2 to 3 weeks. Would be a really great program to keep, bathing program to keep your dog on. Brushing a coat that's this long, guys. Let's take a look at our little girl again. Brushing a coat like this, it may be required daily. I mean, think about it. If your hair was that long, you have to brush it every day, or it's gonna tangle up amongst itself. It's gonna mat up. So brushing is super, super important for our long coats. So here's a topic I wanted to touch on real quick while we were talking about all these 3 coat types, the short, the medium, and the long. How do you grow hair back on a dog that suffers from hair loss? Whether that was allergies, or it could be a food allergy. There could be so many reasons why your dog, it could be a hormonal imbalance. There could be so many reasons why your dog suffers hair loss. But can you regrow that hair? Absolutely you can. You can by bathing with very gentle but effective products that are specifically pet safe and made for your pet and their coat type. So bathing and always conditioning. Don't ever forget to condition, guys. That's how we put the sebum back in. Shampooing will remove a lot of the sebum. But if we're choosing a gentle shampoo, like even Tropiclean puppy shampoo is a great choice across the board. It cleans well, but it's gentle. So it's not going to strip the coat. Now your degreasing shampoos, your whitening shampoos, they're harsher. They're more stripping. So you got to be careful about what you choose. Definitely brushing a dog that is suffering from hair loss due to whatever reason. There could be many. Brushing is going to stimulate blood flow back to the skin, which is definitely going to kick in the hair follicles to do what they're supposed to do, which is produce that sebum and allow that sebum to seep up the hair and protect it, which is completely your armor for your dog. The skin and coat is the armor. The coat protects the skin. The skin produces what the coat needs to nourish the coat so that the coat can do the protecting of the skin. So they're like married, the skin and coat, right? One is just as important as the other. It's very important to focus on both, not just the hair. We've got to focus on the skin too. And that's the secret to maintaining all 3 of these coat types, whether it's small, medium, or large, guys, is understanding that we're caring for the skin first because the skin is caring for the hair, and the hair protects the skin. And if the skin's not happy, that can throw off so many things for your dog. It could be very, very, it could be deadly depending on what's wrong with the skin. The skin's the largest organ in the body, so if it really gets sacrificed in some way and it's not nurtured back to health, it can affect all organs of the dog's body. So our job as pet owners, as groomers, as home groomers, caring for our dogs, is to care for the skin and coat. And that's what we focus on when we're talking about grooming. So this was interesting because everybody's always like, my dog has this coat type. Yeah, there are so many different coat types. There's your wire coat, there's your curly coat, there's your wavy coat, there's your drop coat. But what we're talking about right here is the 3 coat types that will categorize every single dog as either a short-haired coat type, a medium coat type, or a long-haired. And it's easier to look at it that way, guys. Every dog falls into one of those 3 categories. Bathing your dog at least once a month is the key. So don't forget to do it, guys. If you have a dog that is suffering from some skin issues, even if it's just a little bit of itchy skin or flaky skin, starting at the basics here, at the skin, and using a shampoo that's gentle but cleansing and safe, then following that up with a nice, nourishing, hydrating conditioner, and doing that every 3 to 4 weeks. If your dog is having skin problems, you're going to see the improvement. It's going to happen. And then after the skin improves, which takes a little time for the skin to get going again, get all those pistons firing again, takes a little time. But once that happens, then you're going to see new hair growth. You're going to see hair growth coming that was suffering, whether your dog lost hair from flea bite dermatitis or any type of skin issue. You can regrow that hair back. You can, if you properly clean it. And don't forget that keratization cycle of the skin is every 21 days. And if you stay focused on cleaning your dog at least once a month, you're golden. You're probably not gonna see skin problems. If your dog has allergies, bathing every 2 to 3 weeks may be the key for you to cleanse those allergens off of the skin and coat that are irritating the skin, but then definitely conditioning, putting that moisture right back in the coat to rebalance the skin and coat so that the coat can protect the skin. It's so important. And of course, guys, brushing your dog. This is another, if we're trying to regrow hair that's been irritated, the skin's been irritated, we need to cleanse, we need to brush, and we need to use hydrating and moisturizing products that are safe for dogs and not aggressive to strip all the sebum out of the skin and the coat. We definitely don't want to strip it all out. So I'm thinking now, I think it would be fun if we played just a quick little game, just because it's fun. We like to play games. So I'm thinking, let's see if you guys can now identify the difference between a short-haired coat, a medium coat, and a long coat. Let's see. If I say to you, so guys, what coat type is it? Short, medium, or long? What coat type is a Labrador Retriever? Can you type it in the chat? What coat type is that? Let's see if you learned this today. Oh, games. Everyone's like, yay, yay, yay. So what coat type is a Labrador Retriever? You're thinking, boy, this is kind of a tricky question. A little bit. But if you were listening to what I was saying about the hair ratio, I knew that you guys were going to say short. CMN says long. TC Bear says medium, and that is correct. Ashley says medium. Ashley knows, she's the groomer. Yes, it's medium coat type. The Labrador Retriever has a double coat, right? One hair follicle shares, up to 12 hairs. Some of them are primary hairs, which are longer than the undercoat. That puts a Labrador as a medium coat type. That's excellent, guys. I'm so glad. Okay, so let's do a couple more because I like that you guys are paying attention. This is great and you're learning, and I hope that you're learning about your own dog. Okay, so what coat type would you say is a dachshund? What coat type is that? Oh, yeah, now that's tricky. Okay, back it up. The kind that has short hair, not the long hair. That would be a medium coat, the long-haired dachshund, because it's double coat. But what about the short-haired dachshund? Okay, not the wire coat, short-haired. What coat type is that? Remember, our short-haired coat types share a 1:6 ratio of secondary to primary hairs, and so do the long coats. The medium coats, good job, guys, short. Very good, look at you. The medium coats are the only one that share a much larger ratio of hair to follicle, and that's up to 12 primary and secondary hairs. Yes, it is a short coat. The short-haired dachshund is a short coat. Okay, one more. Now, all right, I'm going to tell you. Now we're going to play this a little different. I want you guys to tell me a dog breed that is that of a long coat. Type it in, whatever breed you want. What dog breeds, and start naming some dog breeds that fall into the category of long coat, which is a 1:6 ratio. The secondary hairs are almost as long as the primary hairs. It's a different coat type. So what dog breed would you say represents a long coat? A chow? A chow is a medium coat, believe it or not. It is a double coat. But I know they can grow some long hair, but it is actually a medium coat. Yes, Dorothy. Yorkie? Yorkie is definitely a long coat. Doodle? Yes. Most all of our doodles are long coat. Havanese? Yes, Mary. She just so happens to have a couple Havanese. Your Cockapoo's a long-coated dog too, Mary. Sheltie? Sheltie's a medium coat. Sheltie has that 1:12 primary to secondary hair ratio. Papillon is a medium coat. Do you see where we're going with this, guys? That's more of a double coat. A medium coat has the shorter hairs and longer hairs, and much more. Each follicle shares more hairs. Yorkie, Poodle, Portuguese water dog, Maltese, Ashley says absolutely every single one of them. Shih Tzu, absolutely raising my pack. Yorkie, Maltese, Beaver Terriers, yes. Afghan Hound, long coat, yes, absolutely. Secondary hairs are just almost as long as the primary hairs. Definitely. Afghan, Golden Doodle, yes, good. Corky, could be, yeah. Yeah, I guess it could be. Lhasas, yes, raising my pack. That is absolutely right. King says, Tamascan? I'm not sure what that is. Catan, yes. A Catan would be a long coat. Yes, yes. Very good. All right, that is super. I'm going to jump into some of your questions and see if this has sparked any conversation. The Cocker Spaniel is a medium coat. I know that can be a little deceiving because they can grow all the way to the floor too. But if I'm correct, yes, Colleen Poodles are long-haired, definitely. But the Cocker Spaniel has that woolly undercoat, which it would be considered more of that secondary hair, okay? And the top coat is what grows longer. So we pull out the undercoat when we're growing out the long areas, and then that's how they get the long flowy coat on the Cocker Spaniel. Scott says, been told not to run the blade down the back of English Cocker Spaniel. Hand stripping not offered. What options are there? So confusing as a pet owner. What is recommended hydrating shampoo? Great question, Scott. Yes, it is recommended not to run a blade down the pattern of an English Cocker. That you could instead use a Coat King to pull down that coat. And I have a couple videos on my channel that show you how to card down the coat with a coat key. One of them is a hand stripping video that talks about hand stripping and carding, because that's a carding technique, Scott, that pulls the jacket part down of the English Cocker. And that will go the same for your Cavalier Spaniels, your American Cockers, Clumber Spaniels. Most of our Spaniels, we could just card down that to make that flat back. You can use a clipper. For doing a pet trim, you can. And if you really want to be safe about it, Scott, I wouldn't go any shorter than a 7 blade on the pattern of that English Cocker, because that is still going to look like a flat back, but it's not so short as like a 10 blade that is cutting right to the surface of the follicle. That's when we see problems. So there again, it goes back to don't go any shorter than a 7 blade. You could even do a 5 blade on the pattern of your English Cocker, and it's safe. And go with the lay of the coat. Don't go against the lay. Go with the lay of the coat, okay? That would definitely keep you from having to worry about damaging the follicles or any other problems with your Cocker Spaniels. Also, you asked about hydrating shampoo. Okay, great. iGroom makes a lot of great hydrating shampoos. They have many in their line of shampoos, but I have found that most all of the iGroom products seem to be very hydrating, and the conditioners. So that would be a real safe line for you to consider if you're looking for something for your English Cocker. I really love the SunGuard conditioner that's made by Nature's Specialty, and you can use the SunGuard conditioner with an iGroom shampoo. That's fine. Can mix and match. It's okay. But that is a very nourishing, but yet not heavy, and it's not going to weigh down the coat. That's a good conditioner. So Tropiclean makes a lot of hydrating shampoos and conditioners too. That's a good product line. There are many. There really are. But I'm just kind of shouting some out there, some of the favorites that are affordable. But they're also available to everybody. So not just professionals use them, they're available to our pet owners too. Janice says, what about Bichon? Where does that fall? A Bichon would fall into long coat. Yes, long coat. Pretty sure. Yes, a long coat. Rough coated collie, that would fall into the medium coat CD. Definitely the medium coat. They have the shorter secondary hairs, longer primary hairs. So I'm going to scroll up and check out some of your other questions, guys, and keep this conversation going. As I see different things in here, I might just try to respond as I can. Jenny, I did see Jenny got a new foster. It looks like a Palm. He looks really cute. Congratulations, Jenny. I know he's in good hands. Jane says, what shampoo and conditioner is best to use on a Shih Tzu? There again, very hydrating. Make sure your choices are moisturizing and hydrating, as that's a long coat. And don't forget our long coats, like our Shih Tzus. If we're growing them longer, we definitely want to look for shampoos that are going to add collagen to the hair, so protein, definitely. And that can be added through diet too. So don't forget, guys, that if you have a beautiful long coat and you're thinking of all the ways to keep it healthy and luxurious, what you feed your dog has a lot to do with that too. So that can help as well. Let's just see. Well, this only goes back so far. Wonder if the internet was acting up. Dorothy says, learning so much. That's what I hope, guys. There's so much to learn, but it makes our work with our dogs and our pet clients so much better when we understand why we're doing what we're doing and why we're choosing products that we're choosing. It's very important to understand that. Okay, so just looking for your questions here, guys. All right, I'm just kind of looking through the chat, see what you guys were feeling today. I know, I apologize. I was feeling a little off. I get like that. I think it's hormones, to be honest. I have no idea. I have no idea. Colleen Parrish says, anyone out there know where I can get a tub mat so the dogs don't slip? Absolutely, Colleen. You can get the paw mats that I was giving away a couple weeks ago. The paw mat is great because you can use it from the tub to the table, whatever. It's also anti-fatigue, keeps your dog from slipping, keeps them from getting tired. It's water resistant, so you can use it in the tub. You can also use it on the table. It's called paw mat. You can get them at Groomer's Choice, and Groomer's Choice, I believe I have a link in the description below for Groomer's Choice on Amazon. They have an Amazon store, and I'm pretty sure they have paw mats on their Amazon store too. And the code down there will give you up to like 15% off, I think it is. So you might want to check that out. I'm not affiliated with that, meaning I don't get any kickback. That's all Groomer's Choice. So, Kentucky says, how do you know if a Pom has a triple coat? A Pomeranian is a double coat, so fall into the medium coat. And like I said, guys, we get all caught up in double coat, triple coat, wire coat, drop coat. Just focus on short coat types, medium coat types, and long coat types. If you narrow things down into those and put your dog breeds into one of those categories and approach your grooming according to a short-haired coat, medium hair coat, long hair coat, it will be so much easier for you to understand, and it will be so much easier for you to know exactly what you need to do. Something you guys can do for fun, just for fun in your free time, is if you go back and watch this again and learn about what determines a short coat, what determines a medium coat, what determines a long coat. And then say you go to the AKC website and you start looking from A to Z, all the different breeds, and you start studying what makes this breed a short coat, what makes this, and remember the hair ratio, the secondary hair to primary hairs. Remember that ratio, because that'll help you understand, is it a short coat, is it a medium, or is it a long coat? And just play around with it and go to that AKC site. I might have it linked in the description of this video. And start A to Z, going through the breeds for something to do, and determine whether each breed is short, medium, or long coat. You'll learn a lot. The question was about a Pom. Is it a triple coat? It's a double coat. It's a medium coat type. That's a good way to look at it. Then you don't get all confused. Ashley brings up a great thing. She says, never brush a Yorkie dry. Always use a brushing spray. That is absolute fantastic advice. And I like to say that on our medium coats, our double coated breeds too. I like to use a brush out spray, something that's going to put moisture in as I'm brushing it out. And definitely our long coats, like she said, of the Yorkies. Anything that we're trying to grow coat, if you brush a dog dry, like when you do your weekly brush outs, you're just brushing them, it is definitely going to break the coat. It's definitely going to break the coat. The coat's brittle, it's dry, we've got heat on in the house, the sun's outside. All these factors attack the hair, so it's not as strong. So the brush out sprays, which are the Quicker Slicker, Tropiclean makes great brush out sprays. iGroom makes great brush out sprays. Groomer's Choice has Bark to Basics products that are nice brush out sprays. That is good advice, to definitely use your brush out sprays on your long coated dogs, because you'll break the hair. It's dry. Jane says, what shampoo and conditioner is best used on a Shih Tzu? Like I said, I like the iGroom line. They're all very nourishing products. And always remember to condition, guys. Jane says about Shih Tzus, definitely always condition. Some people think, oh, I shampooed it, is great, but you are actually leaving that coat vulnerable and the skin vulnerable, because you removed a lot of the sebum and now it's kind of imbalanced. By conditioning, you put that right back in there. So it's important to do that. I condition every dog, honestly. Jared says, I've always been told that a Maltese has no secondary coat. Is that true? That is true. A Maltese falls under our long coat. And it does have secondary hairs. Trust me, poodles are not double coated. Don't confuse secondary hairs with double coat. Okay? Our double coats fall into the medium coat category, and some of our medium coats definitely have an undercoat. Okay, but they all have secondary coat. So do our long coats. So Gerald, your Maltese, definitely has secondary hairs, but it doesn't have an undercoat. That's different. The secondary hairs on a long coat are almost as long as the primary hairs. Now, it's not a shedding breed. I know it gets really confusing. So that's what determines whether you have a long coat or not. Your Maltese does. The secondary hairs are all but as long, if not just as long, as the primary hairs. So now the secondary hairs, meaning that they're a little softer. You know, you probably see that as you're combing your Maltese, that some of the hair lays flatter and some of the areas it's puffier. It's that softer hair, it's secondary hairs. Okay. I see King is having fun with the bots. No problem. I knew you would. Okay. Let's see. Ashley says, this coat type has more hair products than I do. I was probably talking about the long coat. Between the Yorkies and the Poodle, my family laughs at my products. Absolutely. The long coat, like I said, you really gotta pick and choose your products wisely, because most of our long coats, we have some length of coat. If it's not all over the body, it's on the legs. It's on a Cocker Spaniel. It's, you know, on the furnishings, and yeah. So we have to have products that are going to build the strength in that hair, and products are yeah. That's how it gets us there. That's what maintains that hair health, really. And brushing, to brush the sebum through the coat, is very important. Let's see. Zinducky says, sometimes Amy's hand gestures are like casting in Skyrim. I talk a lot with my hands, there's no doubt about it. There's Impossible Pup. Hello there. Good to see you, David. I know you've been busy lately. I'm just scrolling for your questions, guys. I thought it was really fun that we're trying to decide what's a short, medium, and long coats. That's a good thing for you guys to do, especially if you're a groomer or if you just are a dog enthusiast and enjoy learning about dog skin and coat care. Is trying to figure out what breeds are short, long, and medium coat types. Sharon Vale says, why does the whiskers and nails grow so much faster than the rest of the hair? Well, the nails don't really. You may think that because you notice them, but the nails grow, you know, at a normal rate. I mean, it's just a small dog like Arlo, he can't wear down his nails. Some bigger dogs kind of wear down their nails before they need trimmed. So, you know, as they're playing and stuff, they're wearing down their nails. Whereas a little guy like Arlo, he doesn't. So it seems like his nails grow fast, but they don't. The whiskers grow straight out. Don't forget that, guys. So why does it seem like the whiskers grow faster? Because the whiskers are very coarse hair. And when they grow straight. They don't grow and lay like the hair on, you know, the muzzle of your dog. It'll droop down. The whiskers, they go straight out. So technically the whiskers are kind of just as long as this hair. It's just that they grow straight out, so you notice them. they don't lay like the hair does? That's a good question. And yes, you guys know that I am going to Suzanne's very soon, which is a week from Thursday. From this Thursday, I will be going to Tampa. And Friday and Saturday, Suzanne are going to be grooming Cocker Spaniel, Wheaten Terrier, a Poodle, and an English saddle trim, as well as a Kerry Blue Terrier. I cannot wait. So we'll be filming, we'll be doing some wonderful trims for you guys and bringing home some great footage. This coming Monday, not this week, next week is Valentine's Day, so I assume that a lot of you are going to be busy too with your sweeties or your dogs. You can spend Valentine's Day celebrating with your dogs if you want to. But I am definitely going to take Valentine's Day off from live streaming because it does take up my whole evening. And it wouldn't leave any time for hubby. And he is my Valentine. So I am definitely going to take off live streaming next week. But the following week I will be back at it and right back from Florida. At that point I'll be right back from Florida. So I'll have a lot to talk about. I'm just going to look scrolling through for more questions before we wrap it up here tonight. It was a good topic. Skin and coat cares. We need to talk more about it. We do talk a lot about skin and coat care, and I'm glad that we do. But we have to keep bringing it to the grooming table, I think, so that it all just sinks in, right? Lisa says, what brush do I use for a Belgian Shepherd Husky mix? Lots of fluff underneath and long hair on the top. Okay, so it's definitely a medium coat. You've got that undercoat. Would definitely use a brush out spray to help you when you're brushing your double coated dog out. Like the Quicker Slicker or the Banish is a wonderful spray for double coat, especially to help slide out that dead coat. Banish spray is a good choice. For that thicker coat, I like the large Kenchi Slicker brush, one of my favorites. If you want to spend a little more money, you can move up to the Chris Christensen Coral brush. It's like a $75, $80 brush. The Kenchi brush is around $30, I believe, the large slicker, and I really like that on that coat type. So you can buy those on Kenchi's website. That's Kenchii. They're large slicker brush. That's one of my favorites, I would say, for sure. I like my Activet brushes. I also like the Artero flexible head brushes. They are good. I have a lot of control over them, and you probably would like that too. They're a little flexible, so they grab the coat and then they move it on out, you know, so they're a little flexible. It's a good thing. So those brushes, I'd say, will all do you just fine. Definitely. Gerald says, aren't most water dogs medium length double coats for water and temperature protection? Most water dogs, a lot of our water dogs, well, poodles are a water dog, and poodles a long coat. Portuguese water dog is a water dog. They're a long coat. Golden Retriever is a water dog. He's a medium coat. So no, they're not all the same. We have our Chesapeake Water Bay Retrievers. That's a medium coat. That's got that 1 to 12 secondary to primary hair ratio. What else? Another water dog that comes to the top of my head. You know, your Irish water dog. That is a long coat as well. So I guess it's a little deceiving, you know, just because they're water dogs, they still have their coat. They still have secondary hairs, just like the medium coat. They just don't have as many secondary hairs as the medium coat, as far as the primary to secondary hair ratio. So you're welcome for the info. Now I have to research and do on this subject. Janet says, yeah, it's a fun subject to, you'll go down a rabbit hole. You'll just learn so much and keep learning and keep going down a rabbit hole, chasing this information and that information when you talk about skin and coat care. But definitely interesting it is. Carolyn says, I just bought iGroom detangling conditioners. Should I dilute this? It does not give a dilution ratio. If it is dilutable, it will be somewhere on the label. And I definitely would carefully read your label, Carolyn, to find out if your iGroom detangling conditioner is dilutable. If it does not say that it's dilutable, then don't dilute it. You definitely want to follow the instructions on the label of all your products, guys. And I'm glad Carolyn brought that up, because a lot of the products that I mentioned tonight, when people were asking questions, they are all products that are dilutable, meaning you have to add so much water each time you mix it, and you only mix what you're going to use. Because once you add water to a product, you add bacteria to the scenario, because our products are plant-based, our shampoos and conditioner. They have plant matter in there, you know, the botanicals and whatnot, so that will breed bacteria. So check to see if your products are dilutable. If they are, please dilute them as suggested on your bottle, and only dilute what you're going to use for that day or for that particular dog that you're bathing, and dump the rest if there's any left. Dilutable means you add water to it to make it function the way it's supposed to do. The water's been taken out for shipping purposes to concentrate it, which means if you use a concentrated product straight up without diluting it, it's going to prove to be pretty harsh on the skin. It could be. It could be. A lot of these products are very gentle though. So Meg says, what shear would you recommend for very small hands? I'm a full-time groomer and my Kenchi Scorpions are great, but after a long day, my hands are hurting. It could be the actual shank of the shear is not ideal for you. Some of them are offset. Some of them are even as far as where the finger holes line up. That could be what's bothering you, Meg. So find out if your Scorpions, I'm not sure offhand, I think they are offset. Maybe you would feel better with the thumb and the finger hole where they fall if they were even. An offset will look like this. So that could feel different to you. For some reason that could be bothering you. You know, that slight little offset could be bothering you. So take a look at how your shear is put together. That's important. If it's offset or if it's even. Terry says, my beautiful Chow Chow is long gone, but I am curious, what coat type was she, and should they ever have been shaved? That's a great question. The groomer never told me. I used to get her hair cut short. Miss her still. I bet you do, Terry. Carolyn, super chat, and thanks for all the great info and dedication to your audience members. Yeah, of course. I love you guys. That's what I show up for. You show up for me, I show up for you too. Carolyn, you're so getting super chatted. You're so getting saluted, Carolyn. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hey, we're better together. That's what we get together for. Making a difference. We're doing good. So Terry's question was, the Chow Chow is a medium coat, which means it has that 1:12 ratio of secondary to primary hairs. Definitely has an undercoat, so that the secondary hairs are shorter than the primary. That's a Chow Chow. No, it should never be shaved down. A groomer shouldn't have led you down that road. They know better. They should know better. They should care more. So these mountain dogs, stuff like that, you know, we'd never do that. So Melissa is, you are so getting saluted, Melissa. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? You're getting it. Thank you very much. Keep it up. I will. I'm going to keep bringing it to the grooming table for you guys. Did you see the video I released last week, guys? It was with a big, big golden doodle named Diesel. And I groomed him in less than 3 hours. And it's all on tape. So you should go watch it. Thank you very much, Melissa. I appreciate that. And I see Donna has a question. Donna says, wait. It just jumped around on me. You guys are jumping around in the chat like little jelly beans. Donna says, you can or do not have to dilute iGroom. Most are 1 to 8 except the prebiotic. Okay, there's a significant other or both, and I love you, and I thank you all for showing up here tonight. I will see you next Monday. No, 2 Mondays from now. I'll see you in Florida because I'm pretty sure Suzanne's going live on her channel. All right, I will say goodbye and hope that you guys have an awesome 2 weeks. I love you. Subscriber Showdown.